Hi guys, and welcome to the Business as Unusual show. I hope you are doing well on this Wednesday. It is show 54, would you believe? We have been doing this for a long time, since the start of lockdown. If you're new to the channel, my name is Luke. I'm the CEO of Sleeping Giant Media and Giant Campus. And if you're on our social channels, please do hang around, check out the content we've been pushing out around how to take the first steps into digital or to take your digital to the next step. This is the Business as Unusual show, where we interview a guest from a different business each week, or we had some politics involved in the last couple of weeks for a bit of change of scenery, which was awesome. So it's a whole kind of range of content that we're going to be sharing, some ideas to hopefully inspire you to hopefully take the next step in the business and the challenges that you'll face. Hopefully there's some similarities here. Before we get started, let's have a quick look at the news. So good news. First of all, Christmas is looking to be back on schedule, with families, friends and overnight stays allowed, which is absolutely fantastic. Apple's head of global security has been done for bribery this week, offering iPads in exchange for firearms. An unusual trade. In other news, pets at home have found that our pets have been lifesavers this year and seen an increase in sales. But to be fair, who could say no to cute and fluffy animals, particularly this year? And finally, some great news for sports fans. Spectators are set to be allowed back into stadiums. Football's back, baby. And with you guys spectating now, it's time for another Business as Unusual. Hi guys, and welcome back. Hi to the people in the chat. I can see Hayley in the chat. Bradley, welcome everybody. If you've got questions as we go, please do shout. We'll be very happy to put them to our Bradley. So without further ado, let's introduce Bradley from Network My Club. Hello and welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, Luke. How are you?
I'm very well. I know that your screen is frozen, so everybody at home has to bear in mind that Bradley's doing a fantastic job of just staring at nothing right now. So the joys of technology, just to keep that in mind, we're going to sort of test his true professionalism of delivering just to a blank screen, which is, I think, kind of, there's a lot of that going around at the moment, isn't there? Just generally talking into cameras at the moment.
Yeah, I can see us. We're just frozen on the screen.
I don't even want to know. I don't want to know what.
Not the most flattering pictures of both of us, I must say.
Okay, yeah, I knew that was going to be the case. It's very, very rare. Is there a flattering photo that's frozen of me, kind of mid-sentence? Can you just do a bit of introduction to yourself and the business, please?
Yeah, of course. So I founded Network My Club about 5 years ago now, and there is a little bit of a pre-pandemic and post-pandemic Network My Club going on, but pre-pandemic. Ultimately, we are a business networking membership organisation, and pre-pandemic, all of our events would take place at iconic sporting venues, bringing local businesses of all shapes and sizes together. Obviously, pandemic hits, and we've had to move all of our events virtually. So currently, we're an online networking company, doing our events virtually across the Southeast and London, using a really intuitive and interactive platform called Remo. So there's ultimately, we are the same business. We're still a membership organisation, and our members are businesses of all shapes and sizes across the Southeast.
Awesome. And could you just give us some of those clubs as well? Because I mean, obviously, we've obviously met at one of those pre-COVID events. That was a different world, wasn't it? And you've got some awesome venues. Can you just sort of highlight some of the clubs that you work with?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, the premise of the business was built on my background in sport and understanding that sports stadiums are very underutilized when it comes to just day to day. They're used very the amount of time they're used for, whether it be football, cricket or rugby, is a very limited number of days. So we utilise the fact that they're empty, and it's places like Twickenham Stadium, the Oval Cricket Ground, the Amex Stadium, the Medeski Stadium, the Ageas Bowl Cricket Ground, and at Portsmouth Football Club as well. So it makes for a nice well, my personal opinion, a nicer environment and a more iconic and inspiring environment than, say, a bar or a city, or a bar in the city, or a cafe or a hotel or something like that.
Yeah.
So, they're cool places to network.
Agreed. No, very much so. They are very, very cool. And I think I'm not a huge cricket fan, so that was my first trip to the Oval, was, because of one of your events. And it, was such an iconic venue. Even if you're not a huge cricket fan, it was fantastic just to sort of to be there. I'm very much interested as to how your conversation with Tottenham Hotspur Stadium's going, though. So how are you getting on with that?
Yeah, well, they're top of the Premier League, so I can't get near them at the moment.
Yes, that's amazing to say that, and I didn't have to say it myself. And I know it may be temporary, but look, that might be all we get to as a Spurs fan. It might be all I get to celebrate this year. That and the 6-1 win against Manchester United, in case there's any Manchester United fans.
I knew you wanted it in there. So
thank you, mate.
I thought I'd mention it.
I appreciate that. Any United fans in the chat, say hi. Let's see how you're getting on this season. But yeah, I mean, there's some really kind of cool venues, and I guess. Have you thought? We'll talk a bit about the online side of things in a bit, because it is really cool what you guys have been doing, and the platform, and not just the platform, but how you've been kind of leveraging it and utilising that. Obviously you've got insight into those clubs, and obviously there's as you say, that there's a huge revenue influx when there's an event that happens in those clubs, and obviously the concept you've brought is great because it gives them a way to gain additional revenue in those kind of potentially kind of more challenging time periods where there's not an event going on. How are they doing right now? I mean, it's got to be pretty tough with nothing happening.
Yeah, very tough. So my background before setting up Network My Club is I spent 4 years in the commercial team at Brighton. So Brighton and Hove Albion Football Club, that is. So I've kind of seen it firsthand, not during a pandemic, I must add, but I've got a lot of connections within that space. And yeah, I'm speaking to a lot of them at the moment, and they are struggling in terms of the clubs that are in the top leagues, in terms of the Premier League and things like that. They're very well funded by television money, and that's well documented. But they've still got sponsors and partners of lots of different sizes that they've got to try and keep engaged. And typically that's done at match days and events at the stadium. But whilst the stadium's been shut and the matches have been sort of behind closed doors, it's been very difficult for them to engage with bigger partners and sponsors. And then ultimately engage with local businesses who fuel a lot of their hospitality business and a lot of their corporate season tickets and season ticket business. So yeah, it's been very tough across the board for a lot of sports clubs. And I'm speaking to rugby clubs, football clubs, cricket clubs at the moment about virtual events. And yeah, a lot of the conversation is around how can we engage our sort of key sponsors and partners a bit better, because we haven't been able to over the last 7 or 8 months. And they've been able to deliver webinars and things like that through Zoom, but we've got a platform and a solution that can make it a little bit more interactive for them. So absolutely. They are struggling.
It's just really tough. And I'd be interested to hear maybe a bit later about the plans to potentially pick that up, because obviously now sport fans are allowed back in the stadium, albeit I think it's 4,000, I think it is, or something. Again, obviously, I guess it depends on the capacity, but I mean that's a nightmare for clubs, I'm sure, as well. Trying to work out. I got a survey through from Tottenham because I'm a season ticket holder there, and the list of questions that I think they're trying to get their head around, because they've got to think about how many staff to put in there. Like, at what point does it not make any money? What point does it cost money to actually have fans back in, because of the sheer logistics of opening a stadium just to cover the bases. So it's going to be really challenging, and I'd be interested to hear a bit later about what that means in a networking sense as well. Like, how can logistically that happen? Just go to chat again. We've got hopefully a Spurs fan, Tom Cape Bread, in the chat saying he's interested to know when there's a networking event at Tottenham, as he'd love to attend. Amazing stadium. Agreed. I love that, Tom. Good.
There would be a shortage of. That's one thing that the business was built on as well. The fact that you've potentially got, in Tottenham's case, 40,000 season ticket holders, all essentially working within businesses with that common interest. Where else would you want to network than the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So, and you've got that common interest.
It's been great. I mean, actually, even just the match days, I've actually come away with some contacts from it as well, just because you get talking, and again, there's some decent businesses that are kind of in there as well. So it's if you can combine that and make it a thing, that'd be incredible. So let's good. I appreciate that. That'd be fantastic. It gives me another excuse to go there. Can you talk to me about the Remo platform, which is the sort of the digital equivalent? So obviously the business was all based around those physical events, and obviously that suddenly came to a grinding halt pretty sharpish back in March, and suddenly you've had to sort of pivot and look at what you do next. What's that initial phase been like for you through sort of March, April, and sort of where you are now?
Yeah, I would have given you a very different answer back in March and April, but our transition was, our business model was flipped on its head completely. It was built on face-to-face events at iconic stadiums, and we couldn't hold face-to-face events, and all the stadiums were shut. So we had to really look at alternatives. So we did what pretty much the entire population of the world did, and went onto Zoom and started to deliver some events on Zoom, just purely focusing on our members and getting them into a Zoom event. And at that time, it was quite new, so it was quite exciting, and everyone was wondering what this Zoom thing was. So we started doing that, but learned very quickly that there were a lot of limitations with Zoom. We were taught now, there are certain things you can do on Zoom to make an event effective, but for us, it was a great communications tool, and that's really what it's built on. But from a networking perspective, just didn't really work for us. And we felt that we wouldn't be able to scale our events to a particular size that we would like them to be. Our in-person events would get anything from 40 or 50 people up to 120, 30 people at a given time. So to do that on Zoom was just really not doable. So we looked at other solutions, or I started to look at other solutions and came across Remo. Someone in my network introduced it to me. Quite a new emerging piece of software that was a bit rough around the edges, but the premise of it really intrigued me, and I really don't do it justice by trying to explain how it works. You really have to sort of look
There's a good video, isn't there? There's a really good explainer video.
We've got a couple of good videos because that's the best way to explain it. But ultimately the premise of it is people can join an event room, you can customize a room however you want it to look, and you have the ability to move around onto different tables, and you only see and speak to the people that are on those tables. So it allows us to scale an event to a decent size, but we may have tables of 4, 5s and 6s, meaning you will only be speaking to 3, 4 or 5 people on that table. And when you want to move on to another table, you can do that. So for us, that allowed us to align our online events very closely to the format that we had in person. And it's been a real game changer for us. We can now scale our events up to 200 people, for example. We can customize it. So we've got our own custom built room that's got one-to-one private areas for people to have conversations, main networking areas, a reception desk, a help desk, some timeout areas. And the best feedback that I've got, it was a couple of weeks ago, a guy came to our event, and I spoke to him afterwards, and he said for the first time in the online events world, he felt in control of his networking again. And it wasn't a case of you speak when you're off mute on Zoom and you're the only one that's speaking. If he wanted to move to another table and join another conversation, he could do that. And it's just been a real game changer for us, and I really don't do it justice. So I would urge people to go and take a look at the video on our website.
I would agree. I have to say, it's a very cool platform that does allow that control back. I think some really cool stuff with Zoom for sure, but you don't have the same ability to select who to talk to. I think it's quite nice to have the little preview. Again, I will not do it justice, so let's not. But it's cool. Everybody in the chat, the guys I've noticed are posting links to Remo, so they better get involved and they better reshare some of this content, because literally we are. Have we got an affiliate link? Can we put an affiliate link in the chat, please? Because I feel like we definitely should earn something from this.
You know what? At times I've been a new side to our business now is we're working with companies on their own events that want to use our expertise on Remo, and at times I feel like I'm representing Remo, just talking through how it all works. And definitely need to start pushing the affiliate link a bit more.
Absolutely, yeah. We should have that ready in the chat. Okay, so if any of your guys are watching, which they look like they are, because there's somebody posting there from Network My Club, get your affiliate link in there, and we'll do some sort of deal post this as well. Would you believe it, everybody? It is in fact the halfway mark. I don't know where the time's gone.
Like that.
We haven't even done the game. We're supposed to have done a game. I'm losing control of this one. There is an affiliate program. Hayley Hudson in the chat. Hayley, get involved. Get some posting there. I think we just need to get Remo to start resharing this content. That'd be fantastic. Right. We have a tenuous link quiz. Let's quickly jump to that because the guys have put some effort into this one. Can you see the screen, Bradley, or do I have to read this out to you?
You're going to have to read it out, I'm afraid.
So. That's absolutely fine. It's all related to the word club. So which of these is the world's oldest football club? Lima Football Club, Belgium Football Club, Santiago Wanderers, Sheffield Football Club.
Oh, I would say I'm going to go Sheffield.
You are absolutely correct. It is the oldest football club in the world, dating back to the fall. Someone's copied and pasted that from an American website of 1857. The club is officially recognised by FIFA and the Football Association of England as the world's oldest club. There was that cool programme on, what was it called? The English Game, I think it is on Netflix, which was almost, I think it's like for the guys from Downton. So that was quite cool.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend that.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. So 1 for 1. Question 2. On the topic of clubs, which club association is abbreviated as ETWA? I've just seen the answer to this. I'm not sure you're going to have to be very much thinking outside the box to get this one.
Are there any options there, Luke?
There are no options, I'm afraid. You just have to know this one, which is
ETWA.
You're gonna struggle with this one. I'm just gonna reveal it. It's Tiddlywinks.
Oh, well.
Yeah, exactly. Bit mean, that one. Question number 3. Which of these is not a flavour of club biscuit? Orange, mint, coffee, plain.
Gonna say coffee.
Say coffee? It is correct. That would be...
They were a staple in the lunchbox growing up.
Absolutely. Having a coffee or anything caffeine related as a child might be controversial, so I think you were good with that one. Next question. The school that the Breakfast Club was filmed in was used in another famous movie. What was it? Do you know the Breakfast Club?
Are there any options?
There are no options. You just have to know this one. It's quite...
It might have been beyond my time, that, Luke.
Are you trying to call me old? Is that what we've just done there? Is that what's just happened?
I'm not familiar with Breakfast Club.
Is
that Johnny Vaughan?
No, it looks like Emilio. To be fair, I don't think I've seen it. It's Emilio Estevez. It looks like in there, who is in fact Charlie Sheen's brother. Don't understand the naming culture. He looks very similar to Charlie Sheen, but with slightly lighter hair. It is an iconic film. I'm going to give it to you. It is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Was the again? No, I would have. Yeah, don't know. And again, you may. Do you know the iceberg in? Sorry, so did the iceberg in Club Penguin actually ever tip? Do you know what that is? Club Penguin. Have you ever heard of
it? The chocolate bar.
No, I don't know. Is it?
No.
I don't know. It looks like a computer game based on the graphic I'm looking at.
That is an extremely tenuous link.
It is. I'll tell you what. We're going to skip this one because I had no idea what this one, and apparently yes, it does. Can anyone in chat tell me what on earth that is? Please, that would be fantastic. We'll pick that one up. That is the end of the quiz. You did pretty well, to be fair. I'm not going to lie. That was pretty good considering you can't see anything.
2 from 5.
2 from 5. That's pretty good.
The multiple choice ones, though.
Yeah, exactly. We need more multiple choice, particularly when you can't see the graphic or the screen to give you any of those clues. There was a question in chat, so I'm just going to jump back to that. So, what are your thoughts on how remote or virtual speaking will change the landscape of what a talk is? So how has the platform sort of changed that?
One thing I've definitely noticed when it comes to guest speakers, because we have guest speakers at online events, but we also had guest speakers at our in-person events. Definitely noticed that Q&As work a lot better when it comes to virtual. Attention spans are a lot less. There's a lot more distraction when you're on a screen. It's very easy to, when you're on mute or you're not seen on camera, to pick up your phone or start looking at emails and things like that. So attention spans are a lot shorter. So from a speaker's perspective, I would say, start getting used to delivering Q&As and be more open to delivering Q&As, because you'll get a lot more engagement from participants. So I think it's also the consideration of attention spans. Where a 45-minute presentation would have worked okay in person, it's definitely not going to be applicable online, because people will just zone out. And I also feel that telling stories and not relying on presentations that's where I've seen the best speakers be most impactful. Those that can actually keep an audience engaged themselves, they're the ones that will see a lot of they'll see a lot of opportunity in the virtual space. Because if you rely on presentations, because people can look at the presentation whilst you're talking through it, it's just not so engaging, to be honest. But again, depends on the content, but that's personally from my view with guest speakers that we have. That's my view on the virtual space.
Yeah, cool. No, I agreed on the Q&A. Actually, I think it's again, talking just before the show, it's difficult sometimes when you bring in a speaker that's trying to present, and they're maybe not familiar with the tech as well. That's always a bit of a challenge. And actually, they may be a fantastic speaker in the real world, but the tech has been the blocker, and then suddenly the energy then in the room sort of noticeably kind of declines as they're kind of going, oh, where's that share button? How do I get to there? Yeah. And it's and that could be enough to kind of lose some attention right there and then. What do you think about is it the etiquette as well? As an interesting one, I've seen, because I deliver quite a lot of talks, and there's a sort of a change in etiquette of the viewer. I don't know if you've seen this as well, where it's like in the real world, nobody would sit there and kind of go, yeah, okay, and they'll pick up, like if the phone rings, they would just they'd mute it. But in this world, because they're at home, the etiquette's changed. I don't know if you've seen this similar as well.
Yeah, I mean, something that I pick up on a lot when we're delivering Q&As or I'm hosting a Q&A is in the Remo platform, you see the chat box right next to the screen, like on the YouTube here. And what I do find odd is when people are trying to promote themselves in the chat box whilst there's a conversation going on. It's just the most bizarre thing. And it's the equivalent of being in an in-person event and the Q&A is going on and you just stand up in the middle of the event and start talking about your business. I still can't really comprehend it, but we've had
I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to do that tomorrow just to make the point.
But they'll just copy and paste their About Us page from their website and just put it in the chat, and it does more harm than good. It's so detrimental to the fact that we now Anders in our team now moderates the chat a little bit more. That's baffling when people are trying to do that. We try and encourage as much as we can, and it is getting better. We encourage discussion and conversation about what's being discussed, and there's a Q&A area, so if you have any questions you can pop them in the Q&A area. But that's been the strangest from an etiquette perspective, because on Remo, when we're presenting our Q&As, we can't see the audience, so they could be on their other screen or they could be on their phone, we don't know. But it's those that are in the chat that are just so obviously they're just copy and pasting their LinkedIn profile and saying, please connect with me. And it's like
timing wise, maybe not quite there. Yeah,
it's very, very bizarre.
Amazing. We have one more game which I'm going to read out to you, and it's called Status Quote. And essentially, there's three quotes that I'm going to read, and I'd like you to pick one that you would snog, one that you would marry, and one that you would avoid. So it's kind of like love and not like or love. Great explanation, wasn't it? Right, let's have a look at the first one. So, and they're all related to networking as well. So number one, your network is your net worth, from Porter Gale. That's the first one.
Okay.
Second one is, if you're not networking, you're not networking. Dennis Waitley. That was I don't quite get that. I've read that a few times just to make sure I was reading that correctly. And number three, networking is the number one unwritten rule of success in business. Sally Krawcheck. And is it unwritten?
Ooh,
I'm sure it's written, but anyway, right. We have those three.
There's a couple I'd avoid there actually, but I'd probably avoid the last one.
Yeah.
Probably marry the first one because I've actually said that a couple of times, and then do truly believe it.
Yeah.
And the second one, I just have to snog and get it over with, but
Get
not
it
a big
over
fan
with.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so kiss the frog, kiss the frog. Yeah, okay. So the one you like is your network is your net worth. Do you want to sort of expand on that? What's so important for networking, and why is that? Why does that really help businesses?
Well, I just think having such a diverse network of people isn't about helping. It's not all about yourself. It's how you can utilize that network to help others. So the most effective networkers that we have within our membership and that I see out there are those that are firstly looking to help people. And they typically ask questions like, so why are you at this event and who can I introduce you to? Or who are you looking to meet right now? And what you can then do is go into your own network and say, actually, if you're looking to meet some solicitors at the moment, I know 2 or 3. Why are you looking to meet them? I could potentially make some introductions. So your network isn't there to help you; it's potentially to help others, and that's what it's probably more so to help others because you know your own network. But yeah, I would definitely say using it to help others is where you're going to get the most value and the most worth from, because once you've helped someone, they are psychologically indebted to you, and they're likely to repay the favor down the line. So if you can use your network to help others, that's really where the true value lies.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the sort of the rules or law of reciprocity. And have you ever heard of a speaker called Zig Ziglar, by chance?
I would have known a speaker called
mate,
Zig Ziglar.
You have to check it out. He's an absolute legend.
Cool.
One of his quotes, which I absolutely love, is, "You can get anything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want." And I think that, for me, is the sort of epitome of that kind of concept of that networking and helping them to find something that they need, and ultimately then hopefully getting that back in return, whether it's directly from them or something in the future as well. So I'm going to follow up some links to Zig Ziglar. He's on YouTube. He's unfortunately, I think he's dead now, but he is just one of the best speakers I've ever witnessed deliver content, and they've got so many little nuggets of wisdom. So I could definitely recommend that to you.
I'll check him out.
Yeah, it's great. So looking at what happens next as we kind of move into this kind of new world of possibly having some face-to-face events, as well as probably some people not wanting to for quite a while, as well as also people going, you know what, do I need to travel? Because actually I've been really effective in the virtual space. What does it mean for you, for networking, and are we talking hybrid events? Are we talking, are you going to do some physical events as well as some online networking, or do you think you're just going to can the online space? What's the sort of future look like, do you think?
Well, we're definitely not canning the online because it's proven so effective for our members, but also as a business, we've got members in Sussex, we've got members in Berkshire, London, Surrey, Hampshire, across the southeast, and Kent, and they've been able to network with one another within the same room without leaving the office or their house. Whereas before, that was half a day or a whole day out the office to come to an event in that region that we were running. So that's been a huge positive for us. So we'll definitely be continuing with online. We won't go down the route of hybrid events because I think hybrid events are going to be more applicable to content-heavy events rather than networking. You can't really network virtually and at an in-person event. There may be some technology out there.
I think that's a challenge there, mate. I think there's, and I think you can find a solution based on this.
I have had a few thoughts, but we won't have a hybrid approach to our events. We'll have a blended approach to our event schedule where we'll have in person back at the stadiums, but we'll also have online to complement that. So we may reduce the number of face-to-face events that we do, and we're just about to go out with a member survey just to try and understand how our members are perceiving networking moving forward. Now they know the world of online, and that's the challenge for us right now, is trying to understand customer behaviors and how people are going to be behaving when networking comes back. And I think there'll be a real split between people doing online and face-to-face. People will value face-to-face a little bit more because they know that people will have spent the time to travel to an event and be there when there are online alternatives. So for us, we'll probably I say probably, this is all how I perceive it, and our members could say something completely different and we'll go down another route. But I personally think we may scale back the number of face-to-face events we do, but make the face events more purposeful, more content-led, and something that if you're spending time out of your office or out of the home to come to the event will make it worthwhile. So we'll have a bit of both,
Awesome.
but it's going to be really, what the split of that is going to be really led around what our members come back to in our survey.
Yeah, absolutely, and probably evolving over time as well, in the sense of getting back to a normality of what was previously defined as normal, and then defining what actually then becomes the new normal as well. So first, we're out of time, unbelievably. That's absolutely shocked by. Thanks so much for coming on. Firstly, congratulations on pivoting a business. I think that's a really great example of taking the adversity of the situation and turning it into something really, really positive. So that's incredible, and obviously best of luck for the next stages and getting to maybe that mix of different events.
Yeah, thanks very much, Luke. Appreciate it.
And I'll see you tomorrow as well, at some point as well.
You will do.
On the
Role
platform.
reversal.
Exactly, yeah. We'll sort of tag. It's your turn next. So on the new platform. Great, guys. That is it from us today. Thanks very much for tuning in. Thanks very much for all the comments in the chat as well. Love to see so much support for Spurs as well. Top of the table, in case you didn't spot that. It's been yet another crazy week, and who knows what next week will bring. But for all of us, it's just business as unusual.